And as you mentioned, obviously you had your best season in F2 last year, and it's always interesting for us when the junior drivers come into Formula One, and I think this is a great opportunity for our fans to also know, from a driving standpoint, what are some of the main differences between Formula 2 cars and Formula One cars? Because for the last couple of years, you've been in Formula One cars with FP1 and 2 sessions as well. So can you just sort of describe what are some of the main differences between the two cars?
Yep. So there's quite a lot of big differences. So first and foremost is much more power in the Formula One cars, which goes without saying, which is quite nice to feel when you put your right foot to the floor. So I mean, the engines themselves now Formula 2s are V6 turbos, so they kind of followed what Formula One is doing, but just minus the hybrid. So Formula One is also hybrid, so you have quite a lot of power from the actual engine itself, and then you have quite a lot of power from the electronic, let's say, battery side of things. So the torque you feel when you instantly put your foot on the gas, and the power is quite a lot. But for me, the biggest thing as a driver is just the overall grip you have. So because the tires are much bigger than you have in Formula 2, it just provides much more mechanical grip. The aerodynamics as well, there's for sure much more investment and technology advancement in the aerodynamics of the car. So this just allows you to brake so much later, so that the braking is insane. I mean, for the most part, first time you drive a Formula One car, you get on the brakes for a corner and you have to re-accelerate to actually get to the corner, because you arrive so much, you decelerate so much quicker than you think.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just you brake so much later, carry so much more minimum speed. You're able to get on the gas, the throttle so much harder. So everything is kind of happening much more quicker, on top of all the, let's say, other things you have to deal with, like the extra electronics on the steering wheel, all the controls you have, making changes to the car and things like that.
How much do those differences change your fitness routine throughout the off season, or has it changed too much going from last season compared to this season?
I mean, for the most part, a lot of my training still remaining fairly similar, for sure, with some little areas, let's say, more to fine tune. I mean, having, always driving back and forth between the Formula 2 and Formula 1 car, I know which areas I need to improve more for Formula 1, which areas I don't have to work on as much for Formula 1, if that makes sense. So, I mean, specifically, the neck is always the biggest thing with F1, just because of the increase in G-forces and the kind of, especially being a tall driver, that you're maybe sitting always a little bit more in a slightly more compromised position than a small driver. So like the whole kind of trunk and core area, lower back is a big one for very tall drivers, and just the core to kind of like resist the G's and to kind of combat those forces. Then at the same time, you don't have power steering in Formula 2, which you do in Formula 1. So let's say outright arm and shoulder strength doesn't need to be as much. And just in general, I'm trying to slid down ever so slightly, just to try and be more within the Formula One weight. I mean, I already am below the Formula One weight, but just to have a little bit more margin, and it's always better to put a bit of ballast on the car to meet the weight, as opposed to just having the weight in the driver.